Craig with Addicore here. Today I want to show you our TQFP breakout boards. On one side, it's a TQFP 8mm pitch and it can allow for sizes of ICs from 32 to 64 pins. And on the back side, it's a TQFP 0.5mm pitch, allowing you to use ICs from 32 to 100 pins in size. The board does have two mounting holes in these two corners. They're 2mm in diameter. The through-hole breakout pins are standard 0.1 inch or 2.54mm pitch. So that means you can solder in standard 0.1 inch header pins like here, and you can also do 0.1mm or 0.1 inch female pins. But because this board has through-hole pins broke out to all four sides, it isn't compatible with a breadboard directly. Now we did find a way you can use it with a breadboard. You can mount two rows of male headers on the inner rows of the board, and that way you can interface a good portion of the pins directly to your breadboard. And then you can mount headers, whether male or female, to the rest of the pins on the top and bottom rows as well as the outer rows. Using male header pins, you can easily interface to the board using female jumper wires, and then you could connect those to a breadboard. Or you could use female header pins and use male jumper wires to connect to a breadboard or to sensors or modules or whatever you may be connecting to it. Just to show you, I've got an AppMega 328 TQFP IC. It's a 32-pin IC and it's 0.8mm pitch. And to mount this on the board does have a corner angled on each side to show you which way to orient your chip, so that it has pin 1 lined up so that the actual pads numbering will line up with the numbering of the pads along your IC. So if we take this AppMega chip, we can see that pin 1, the marking for it is indicated here in this corner with the little dot. So we can line this chip up on the board like this. And now, if I can get it on there a little better, pin 1, labeled out here, is connected to pin 1 of the IC, and that way the numbers line up and you don't have to count around the IC or make guesswork. You can actually just connect to the numbered pins, knowing that you are indeed connecting to the correct pins on your IC here. Now, as you go up in numbers, that will change it to some degree. So for instance, if we were stuffing this board with a 64-pin TQFP, then you would indeed have all of your pins numbered correctly all the way around. But since we're using a 32-pin IC, the first set of pins here will line up correctly with the numbers, but then as we go across, the numbers will change. You'll have to subtract the difference that wasn't used on one side from the numbering on the next side, and so on as you progress around. But the pins on these boards, they are nicely already tinned for you, so it does make for easy soldering. In fact, you can actually just lay your chip down, reflow it with heat, or trace across each pin with an iron, and the tinning that's already done on here is done with solder, so it will actually melt to your pins. We recommend using flux with that, but then you can go across and add more solder if you desire, or you may just actually find that to be good enough. Anyhow, that's our TQFP breakout boards.